Okay, time for another video. This is going to be my official coronavirus rant video. Where do we start? We're going to start with the obvious things. I went to Walmart today on the way home from my job. By the way, my job is one of these essential services. We deal with people over and over again, you know. But went to the Walmart store so that I could get some milk and some hand lotion. I mean, of course, you need the hand lotion now because you have to have hand sanitizer. By the way, you can't get hand sanitizer. I made this hand sanitizer, and it took me a long time to get the ingredients to make this hand sanitizer. If you have hand sanitizer, if you're sitting on a gallon of hand sanitizer, you should probably back your own currency with it because it's more valuable than gold. But but don't take my advice on that because, I was ready to back my currency with toilet paper, and the market fell out of the bottom of that because people figured out that the governor's not going to ban the use of toilet paper, and now they're sitting on a garage full of it, and they're going to have that until the year 2029, and they're just going to have nothing but toilet paper. But, so I go to the Walmart store to make my purchase, 2 gallons of milk and some hand lotion. I get there, people are lined up outside the door because now they're only allowing 5 people for every 1,000 square feet. Well, I kind of know a little bit about that particular store, and I think it's somewhere in the area of 200,000 square feet. It might be more than that, but the thing is, there was not 200 people there. Not by any stretch. There was not that many cars in the parking lot, and I know that these people are all coming there together. They all got the duck bills on. They're all walking around with the duck bills on. But anyways, on the way back to my car from the Smiths, because I went to the Smiths next door to the Walmart, so there was no line there, and I bought my milk and I bought my lotion. I'm coming out, and what I noticed is I start taking pictures, which I'm going to insert right after I tell you what they were. Gloves, rubber gloves, just everywhere. And Walmart and Smiths in that particular parking lot, they have every single basket return, and in between that also they have trash cans. So if you got to wear gloves, you put them in the trash can. You don't just drop them on the street where you are once you're getting in your car or whatever it is. And I saw people do this, so I took pictures of these things. I'm going to insert those right here. So what that does is it creates a whole new effect, a whole new problem. They were complaining about in Albuquerque about the plastic bag use, the reusable bags, and I did a video about that. You guys may have seen me ranting about that one. But the quick synopsis is they're not one-use bags. People reuse it for trash, for dog poop, and all kinds of other things. So we were better off, and it was cleaner. And one of my arguments were it was a much more sanitary idea to use those kinds of plastic bags than it was cloth. And I did get a lot of feedback from people saying, hey, it's just a myth that these bags harbor germs. If you wash them and such, they don't harbor germs. And the mayor of Albuquerque actually said in a press conference, it's a myth. But for some reason, they have now decided it's a good idea to suspend the law that they put in place that says you cannot use one-use plastic bags. And they've actually don't want you to use the reusable ones during the coronavirus only. Well, if the coronavirus is getting into these bags, these reusable bags, and people are bringing them in there and contaminating the area, which is what they're saying is happening. The same thing goes with that reusable cup that you get at the Phillips 66. You go in there to fill up your Dr. Pepper, and you can't do it because you can't use a reusable cup anymore because you're going to contaminate the place with it. Well, if that's true, you're going to contaminate the place even when there is no coronavirus. So point one, let's chuck the reusable bags unless you really want to use them yourself. Bring back the one-use plastic bags that we used before. Cheaper, more sanitary, and they get reused. But going to the next rant, the face masks. Everybody's got the duckbill on. This is a new look. You know, someone needs to come up with designer duckbill masks. And you know, there's all kinds of ways how to make them. And I have heard that maybe in New Mexico, the governor of New Mexico may come out, and possibly the mayor of Albuquerque can come out and say, if you go to a public place, you may be required. Right now, they're strongly urging you to wear a face covering. And you may be required to do that in the future. 2 states have done that. And the idea is, well, you might be infected with the coronavirus. And you know, anywhere between 25 to 50% of the people who get the coronavirus don't even have any symptoms at all and don't know they have it. So therefore, you don't want to spread that to someone who will get symptoms, you know, elderly people, stuff like that. And I understand that. But here's the problem. They're telling me that there is a shortage of these masks. And in my business, I use those masks. I used those masks before there was a coronavirus. I can't use them now because I do not have any left. Do not have any. I'm down to just a few boxes of these gloves, and I can't get those either. I got them on back order for months, and the same thing goes for commercial grade disinfectants and all the other things that, you know, you usually have with you to take care of business. But so the mask, if they require me to wear a face covering, I'm going to get a pair of tidy-whitey Fruit of Balloons from my child, and that's what I'm going to wear on my face, because that is the only thing that I have that I can use. You know, I don't know what they want. If the government's going to require you to wear a face covering, the government is going to have to provide said face coverings. You know, something that actually works. You know. And I understand why they want to do that, which takes me to the next part of my rant, which, you know, I hope you guys stick with this and listen to the whole thing, but I know it's probably not going to happen because I'm, you know, going on and on. But the government is taking a different line with this particular virus than it has many others, and the whole world is doing that. You know, we've shut down the economy in the United States, and many other countries have done the same thing, followed suit, or before we ever did, they shut them down. And it's because they're not telling us something about this particular virus. And the reason I say that is, you know, we had the N1H1 flu, I think it was, back in 09, which actually killed more people in a shorter period of time than this one's done, and was just as contagious and all those things. We had Ebola, killed 2 out of every 3 people who got it. We had the SARS. You had all these different ones. We did not shut the economy down in this country for those viruses. But this one, we're doing it, and, you know, to flatten the curve so less people get it, we don't overwhelm the hospitals, is the reason for this. Okay? Let's just go on that. So let's just say May 1st rolls around and we're able to go back out and eat at the restaurant stuff. Won't we just have a reinfection then? You know, another surge, if you will. And then you also, I may get a little bit Donald Trump for a lot of you guys right now, but just my opinion. The wet markets in China, they produce this virus. In Wuhan, and then also they also produce those same wet markets, produce the virus, the N1H1 and the SARS. They didn't produce Ebola. That came from Africa out of a tree, I think. I mean, I guess you could either cut all the trees down or don't cut any of them down. Don't worry about that. But in China, they need to look at how they're doing things. I mean, I'm thinking right now we need to get ourselves a load of napalm and go down there in some of our stealth bombers and just wipe out all the wet markets in China so they can start again and maybe do it a little differently from what they're doing right now, because that is the fault of the Chinese government and the way that they are doing that. You know, we had the mad cow disease in Europe and the United States, and you know, we took measures to get rid of it, and we take measures to make sure that the beef that we provide, we eat a lot of cows in the United States. And we have butchers and shops and factories that take care of this stuff and keep it clean, keep the process clean. In China, if you went to buy a cow, well, they take the way they're doing it with these bats and cats and I don't know, animals I never even heard of. It would be equivalent to, if you want to get some beef, you go to a farmer, and that farmer grabs his cow right off the pasture there, kills it, wraps it in a brown paper bag, shoves it onto a folding table in a dirt lot out in the Civic Auditorium parking lot, and just shoves you the side of beef, and whatever's living in it lives in it. The flies have landed and all stuff. It just isn't sanitary, and so it's a recipe for disaster. And if they're going to produce that kind of stuff, that's where these viruses come from. It really is on China to stop doing that. Just get rid of the wet markets and do things differently. They're a big communist country. The government runs everything. They can just say, stop doing that. We're going to have slaughterhouses that are controlled and sanitary, so that we do not produce these type of viruses for the rest of the world or for them. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that say that, oh, maybe this is an engineered virus, and there was some lady working on getting it from bats to humans, and now it's in big cats, I hear, like tigers are getting it. And that holds water, even though it's probably not true. It holds water because look at the response we're having to this virus in comparison to others. And they say maybe it's not seasonal, and so we may not have a vaccine for 18 months. So it kind of makes me think maybe we're going to be in a pandemic situation for 18 months. Maybe the economy is going to be crapped up for 18 months. Who knows? So there's my rant on it. Except I guess the treatments. The other thing, okay. I know a lot of people are down on Donald Trump because he came up with the malaria virus. He said, "Oh, look, this malaria drug works." And it was in the ZPak, and it was based on a study out of I think France, where it was just like 100 people only in that study, and they were given this, and supposedly it wiped out the coronavirus out of their bloodstream in 5 days, and it was like 98 people out of the 100 lived, which is a better average than you would normally get. And so in Europe, in France, and other places, that's the treatment they're using. It's standard treatment. In the United States, they're allowing it for people that are getting really bad, if they get the lung infection and those kinds of things. And I've seen a lot on YouTube. I've seen a lot of the big stars out there. They're doing they've had the coronavirus, and they always seem to come out and say, well, I was given this malaria drug with Tamiflu and maybe and the ZPak. And my opinion is, and I'll tell you why. Before I tell you my opinion, I'm going to tell you why my opinion is this way. Back in the 90s, I had a doctor. I'm not going to say his name was, but he was an old-fashioned type doctor. He prescribed stuff for you, and he told me one time I used to get ZPaks back then. I think it was in the early 2000s and 90s possibly. I would get these ZPaks, and it was new then. And he would give them to me for if I had bacterial infections. But one time I got the flu. It was just a common flu, and what he said was he gave me that, and I said, well, I thought that the antibiotics do not work for the flu. And he said, look, and I always remember this, and he was a great doctor, and I was really sick, and he gave me a ZPak, and he said, look, in med school right now, they're teaching all these guys that you'll build an immunity to antibiotics if you use them too much. And so when you really need them, you can't use them. And that, he says, that is snowballing. That effect is snowballing. And some of these antibiotics, is in one of the family of the ZPak, it isn't so. I'm just telling you it's not so. And I wouldn't prescribe this for you if I didn't think it was going to work. And they tell you that they don't work on viruses, but this family of antibiotics will work on this virus. Trust me. So I trusted him, and I took that up, and in 2 days, that flu was gone. I had nothing in 2 days. I felt great. Did the 5-day regimen on it, and so that stuck in my head when this came out, and they said, ZPak for a virus. And so my opinion is, if this treatment is shown to work in Europe, we should just say, let's use it. We have the ability to produce these medications because we already have them. It's not going to hurt you to take this malaria drug because we've been using it since World War II. It's been around a long time. ZPak, a lot of people have used it, and unless you're allergic to that particular antibiotic, you can use it. I mean, it can be tough on your stomach, but it's that of the coronavirus. Anybody who wants to use that treatment should be allowed to use that treatment. If I got that virus today, I would tell my doctor, who would probably not do it unless I was really in bad shape, but if I had it in my bloodstream and had no symptoms, I would be like, give me these medications because I believe this is going to help me. And it's not an expensive thing. We're doing stuff. We're producing. General Motors is producing ventilators. We can get drug companies to increase their production of these products so that everybody who gets this virus gets a ZPak and this malaria drug. And the other thing is that we should be doing, and we're not, is, and I'm not knocking the federal government or the state or Donald Trump or the Congress or Nancy Pelosi or anyone. We should test every single person in the United States. And they say, well, we don't have enough tests. Well, we've tested more people than any other country. We've done more tests than any other country, which is probably why we have more positives than any other country. And we're counting. They say we have also had more deaths than all these other countries. Well, we're having more deaths because it's anything related to it. Someone could have got the flu, and they would have died from the flu, or coronavirus, or whatever. They had many underlying medical conditions. So testing for everybody is kind of what I think it was Singapore that did that, and they were able to control this because if you think about it, you could say, well, if every single person was tested, you would have a working knowledge of who has it, who doesn't, and then you could retest those people that don't have it in 14 days after you shut the economy down. You only have to shut the economy down for 14 to 20 days because you know who has it and who doesn't. Those people that have it in their bloodstream need to stay home and stay away from everybody, can't do anything, self-quarantine, mandatory quarantine, whatever. Those people that don't have it continue to run the economy. Seems like a logical thing to me. That way you don't have to shut everything down. And, yeah, if one of those people, self-quarantine came out and went around, they would spread it. But, you'd hope that if someone knew they had it, that they would not do that. And we could then keep a better handle on it. And, maybe testing is the answer. Maybe every week you test everyone and, through their jobs and through their employers so that we know who has it and control it and the economy stays open. So there you have it. That's my rant on it all. And it seems to me that the power of the United States has to produce things. We could produce enough tests to do that. We could produce enough of the antibiotic to take care of it. We could produce enough of the malaria drug very quickly, very easily. And there's no reason why we shouldn't. And those companies that produce those things would actually make some money. So that would also be a plus for our economy. And there you go. And then, one last thing. Why are we shutting liquor stores down? Of all the things you need right now is a liquor store. Okay, I'm out. You guys have a good one.